Her audacious plan to repay me left me both shocked and intrigued. Collision of fates. The acrid smell of burnt circuitry filled Cale Thorne's nostrils as he crawled from beneath his damaged navigation console. 3 days stranded at Nexus Station had depleted both his credits and his patience. The repair costs alone would bankrupt him, and the station's docking fees accumulated by the hour like drops of poison. He wiped grease from his hands and headed toward the lower markets, hoping to find salvageable parts among the vendors. The atmospheric processors down here barely functioned, creating a perpetual twilight haze that suited the questionable dealings occurring in every shadowed alcove. "You're the pilot who disrupted the Crimson Raiders' attack vector yesterday." The voice, melodious yet carrying an undertone of steel, made him spin around. Before him stood a figure that made his breath catch. Lysia Vanten moved with liquid grace, her silver-touched skin seeming to capture and reflect the dim station lights. Her violet eyes held depths he couldn't fathom, and when she tilted her head, studying him, strands of her midnight blue hair shifted like silk. "I don't know what you're talking about," Cale replied carefully, though his pulse quickened. He had indeed intervened when he'd seen raiders pursuing a civilian transport, using his ship to block their weapons lock until station security arrived. Modesty doesn't suit someone who risks their own vessel for strangers. She stepped closer, and he caught her scent, something like starlight and cinnamon. "That transport carried my grandmother's medical supplies. You saved her life. Anyone would have." "No," her fingers brushed his arm, sending an unexpected jolt through him. "They wouldn't. And now I have a debt that mere credits cannot repay." Cale found himself trapped by her gaze, aware of how near she stood, how the station's recycled air seemed suddenly charged between them. "I don't need repayment." A smile played at her lips, mysterious and inviting. "Oh, but you do. Your ship needs repairs you cannot afford, and you need clearance past the quarantine zones to reach the salvage fields." She leaned in, her breath warm against his ear. "I have a proposition that will solve both our problems, Captain Thorne. But I warn you, it requires an adventurous spirit and the ability to trust a stranger with more than just your life." The audacious bargain. Cale followed Lysia through a maze of corridors to a private chamber in the station's mid-tier district. The room's warmth contrasted sharply with the cold markets below. She gestured for him to sit, then poured 2 glasses of shimmering Etherean wine that seemed to swirl with its own inner light. "The celestial auction begins in 36 hours, she began, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. "Entry is restricted to bonded pairs only, those who share genuine emotional and physical connections. The prize includes salvage rights to the entire Chronos debris field and enough credits to buy 3 ships like yours." "And you want us to pretend?" "Not pretend," she interrupted, moving to sit beside him on the curved sofa, close enough that he felt her warmth. "My people, the Etherians, we have ways of creating temporary bonds. Neural links that allow thoughts and sensations to flow between 2 beings." Her hand found his, fingers intertwining. "It would make our connection appear genuine because, for those hours, it would be." Cale's mouth went dry. "You're suggesting we share consciousness?" "More than that," she whispered, shifting closer until her leg pressed against his. "The link requires complete trust, complete openness. You would feel what I feel, know what I know." Her free hand rose to touch his jaw, turning his face toward hers. Every emotion, every sensation, every moment of attraction. His heart hammered as she leaned in, her lips barely an inch from his. "This is insane." "Perhaps," she breathed, and he could taste the sweetness of the wine on her words. "But tell me you don't feel this pull between us. Tell me your pulse doesn't race when I touch you." Her fingers traced down his neck, making him shiver. "The link only amplifies what already exists." "Lysia." He started, but she pressed a finger to his lips. "We need to practice," she murmured, her eyes dark with promise. "The auction judges can detect deception. We must be comfortable with intimacy, with each other's presence." She stood, pulling him up with her, their bodies now mere inches apart. "Dance with me, Cale. Let me show you how an Etherian expresses gratitude." Beneath the masquerade. The celestial auction's grand hall gleamed with crystalline architecture that reflected the nebula visible through transparent walls. Kale's hand rested on the small of Lysia's back as they entered, the neural link humming between them like a live wire. Through their connection, he felt her confidence mixed with an undercurrent of nervousness she hid well. "Remember," she whispered, her lips brushing his ear in a gesture that appeared intimate but allowed her to speak privately. "We're desperately in love, united for only 3 cycles but unable to resist each other." The link made the act effortless. When she laughed at something he whispered, the joy that sparked through their connection was real. When he pulled her against him during the reception dance, the desire that flowed between them needed no pretense. Her body molded to his as they moved, and through the link, he experienced the dual sensation of holding and being held. "You're getting too good at this," she murmured against his neck, and he felt her genuine concern bleeding through. She hadn't expected the connection to feel this authentic. "Is that a problem?" He spun her, then drew her back, closer than before. Through the link, he sensed her walls beginning to crack, revealing something raw and vulnerable beneath. Their moment shattered when Zorin Cade approached, a towering Vorthan with 4 arms and predatory eyes. "Lysia," he purred, his lower arms reaching for her while his upper ones gestured dismissively at Kale. "I'm surprised to see you here with this." Kale felt Lysia's fear spike through the link, though her expression remained serene. "Zorin," she acknowledged coolly. "You know," Zorin continued, circling them slowly, "I've been investigating some interesting records. Transit logs that suggest you two met only days ago. Hardly enough time for a genuine bond, wouldn't you say?" Lysia's hand tightened in Kale's, and through the link, he felt her panic. But he also felt something else, memories she'd been hiding. Zorin had once pursued her relentlessly, becoming violent when rejected. This auction was her chance to escape his reach permanently. Without thinking, Kale pulled Lysia into a kiss that was both performance and promise. Through the link, their emotions merged, fear, desire, protection, and something deeper that neither had expected. When they parted, breathless, even Zorin seemed convinced. "Stay away from her," Kale warned, surprised by his own possessiveness. Hearts unveiled. The neural link had become a living thing between them, pulsing with shared emotions as they retired to their assigned suite. Kale could feel Lysia's exhaustion mixing with his own, but beneath it thrummed something electric, an awareness that had grown beyond mere performance. "You saw my memories about Zorin," she said softly, standing by the window that overlooked the swirling nebula. "I didn't mean for you to." "I'm glad I did." He moved behind her, his hands settling on her shoulders. Through the link, he felt her tension melt at his touch. No one should have to face that alone. She turned in his arms, her eyes shimmering. "The link is showing me things too, Kale. Your loneliness in the void, your fear of letting anyone close after losing your crew 2 years ago." Her hand pressed against his chest, over his heart. "We're both running from something." "Maybe we should stop running," he whispered, lifting her chin. Through their connection, he felt her desire spike, matching his own. Their lips met, and the link exploded with sensation, not just the physical touch, but the emotional tsunami behind it. He felt her surprise at the depth of her feelings, her fear of vulnerability, and her desperate hope that this might be real. She felt his protective instinct, his growing need for her, and the terrifying realization that what started as a deception had become truth. A crash from the balcony shattered the moment. Zorin burst through with 2 accomplices, his 4 arms wielding energy weapons. "Did you think I wouldn't discover your pathetic ruse?" The transit records were expertly forged, but not expertly enough. "Kale!" Lysia pushed him aside as Zorin fired, the blast singing the air where he'd stood. Through the link, they moved as one consciousness in 2 bodies. She ducked left while he rolled right, their coordination perfect. He felt her gathering her mental energy, preparing an Etherean mind strike, while she felt him calculating attack angles. "You want her so badly," Kale taunted, drawing Zorin's attention. "But she'll never choose you. Even a fake bond with me is more real than anything you could offer." The words hit their mark. Zorin roared, charging at Kale with all 4 arms extended. But through the link, Lysia sent him her plan, and at the last second, Kale dropped, sweeping Zorin's legs while Lysia's mind strike sent the Vorthan crashing through the wall, unconscious. Security arrived moments later, restraining Zorin and his accomplices. As chaos swirled around them, Kale and Lysia stood facing each other, both breathing hard, the link still singing between them with undeniable truth. Beyond the stars. The auction's final round required pairs to demonstrate their bond before the entire assembly. One by one, couples displayed their connections through various species traditions. Some sang harmonies only achievable through perfect synchronization, others performed martial forms that required absolute trust. "We could withdraw," Kale murmured as their turn approached. Through the link, he felt Lysia's conflict, her desperate need for the prize warring with her fear of exposing their real feelings before hundreds of witnesses. "The salvage rights would set you free," she replied, her fingers trembling in his. "You could go anywhere, never be trapped again." "What about what would set you free?" He turned her to face him, cupping her face in his hands. The link blazed between them, showing her his truth, that somewhere between the deception and the danger, he'd fallen completely. "Kale." She breathed, and through their connection, he felt her last walls crumble. "I need to tell you something. The prize, it's not just salvage rights. It includes permanent citizenship in the core worlds, away from the frontier where Zorin's family holds power. I was using you to escape, but now you're not the only one who found something worth more than freedom," he finished. Their names echoed through the hall. Hand in hand, they walked to the center of the crystalline platform. The adjudicators watched with ancient eyes, their telepathic probes searching for deception. "We offer an Etherian soul bond," Lysia announced, her voice carrying clearly. "Not the temporary link we've shared, but the permanent joining that my people reserve for life mates." Kale felt shock ripple through the crowd, and through himself. A permanent bond meant sharing everything, forever. No secrets, no solitude, no escape from each other's presence in their minds. "That requires both partners' complete consent," the lead adjudicator noted, studying Kale. "Human, do you understand what she offers? Your minds would be forever intertwined. You would never be alone in your thoughts again." Through the temporary link, he felt Lysia's terror that he would refuse, her hope that he wouldn't, and beneath it all, a love so profound it took his breath away. He sent back his own emotions, the certainty that loneliness was a price he'd gladly never pay again if it meant having her in his mind and heart forever. "I understand," he said, pulling Lysia close. "And I accept." She gasped, tears streaming down her face as she initiated the permanent bond. The temporary link dissolved, replaced by something infinitely deeper. The audience erupted in amazement. No deception could fake the luminous aura that surrounded truly bonded pairs. They won the auction, but as Kale kissed Lysia on that stage, feeling her joy echo endlessly through their new connection, he knew they'd won something infinitely more valuable. In trying to repay a debt, she'd given him forever. "Your plan worked," he whispered against her lips. "Better than I dreamed," she replied, and through their bond, he felt her complete happiness. "I came to repay you for saving my grandmother. Instead, you saved me." "We saved each other," he corrected, and their shared consciousness hummed with the truth of it as they walked hand in hand toward their new beginning, never to be alone again. The end.